Rona got me. I don't know, he was really bland. He was like unseasoned chicken. Emotional damage. Hi everyone, Renee here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are starting a 24-hour readathon. The Rona got me. After 2.5 years of evading it, I got COVID. So I canceled all my weekend plans, which was disappointing because they were really fun and I was really excited. But yeah, so now we're staying home all weekend and I'm a little foggy. So I apologize in advance for the low tone or lack of energy in this vlog. I'm literally sick. So yeah, but I figured since I have all this time on my hands now, I am going to do a 24-hour readathon and try to catch up on my Goodreads goal. Goodreads has been screaming at me every single time I open the app that I'm very behind. I think I'm like 12 books behind right now. And I don't plan on reading 12 books in this readathon, but I want to at least read 5. I think 5 is going to be my goal, which I think is very doable because I literally have nothing to do. Like, I'm not even gonna be like running errands, cleaning, like trying to do a bunch of stuff. I'm literally just gonna be resting. So yeah, it's about 11 o'clock on Sunday. So I'm gonna go upstairs and pick all the books that I want to try to read for this readathon, or I might just pick a couple as I go and then see how many of them I can get to. So yeah, we'll see. But I'm gonna go look at my books and I'll show you what I'm reading. Okay, so I picked some books and these are kind of what we're working with. It's actually a really nice color palette. And I'm actually already in the middle of The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. So this is going to be the one that I'm starting with to finish. And then yeah, of course, I also have my Kindle. So if I want to read anything on my Kindle, I will as well. So we're gonna start with this one. Okay guys, so for context, I started reading around like 12:30, 1 o'clock, and it's about 4 o'clock now, and I did finish my first book. I finished The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I was already about 40 to 50% through this book when I started, so I did not read this whole thing in that time, but I did finish it. And honestly, I picked this book up because I had seen it everywhere. People were talking about it on Book Talk and on Bookstagram, and a lot of people were really liking it, but to be honest, I just thought it was painfully average and a little bit boring, and also a little cheesy and corny at times, which I know, like, that's fine. Like, I don't mind some cheesiness and romance, but I don't know. There was just something about this that I wasn't necessarily vibing with. It took me a long time to warm up to the main male lead, and I think that definitely had something to do with it. I don't know. He was really bland. He was like unseasoned chicken, in my opinion. And the main female lead I did really like. She was super bright, super bubbly. This is definitely a perfect example of grumpy sunshine romance, but she did laugh at literally everything, even if it wasn't funny, and I thought that was a little odd. I don't know if that was the author trying too hard to make her bubbly sunshine, but I still really liked her. But yeah, the smut was good. There's a plus there, but it was just not that entertaining in my mind. I liked the Disneyland aspect of it, but other than that, I'm gonna forget this in a few days. It was just okay. I don't even know if I'll read the second one. I might be inclined to, because it was a quick read, even though it was a little bit boring. I still read it pretty quickly. It's just very easy to read. So yeah, I don't know. I think overall I'm gonna give this like a 2.5, maybe 3 star. I'm gonna let it simmer a little bit and see how I feel. But first book of the readathon down, it's 4 o'clock. I think I'm going to start Film for Her next. It's a poetry collection. I've been really, really wanting to read that. So I think I'm gonna start that next. But I also think that I need more coffee. I had a cup of coffee earlier, but I'm feeling really sleepy. So I think I might make another one. Yeah. Can't tell if this is crooked, but I just finished my second book of the day, which is Film for Her by Orion Carlotto. Oh my goodness. This, I thought I would like it. I fully expected to like it, but I didn't expect it to impact like it did. This was stunning. No shocker, I gave this a 5-star. I should just say that now because my praise is gonna give it away anyway. But this, yeah, 5 stars. This is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful, it's raw, it's very intimate too. And I just felt myself like wanting to cry in multiple different parts of this book. And it was so good. And not all of it was relatable to me, but some of it was. And the parts that were hit really hard. And even the parts that weren't relatable still felt so intimate that it was just captivating. I loved it. I loved how she wrote this, and also the fact that it's ingrained with film photography as well. That really resonated with me as a photography major. I do think that a photo can say 1,000 words, and being able to evaluate the photos as you're reading these poems was such an amazing thing, and it just really enhanced the reading experience. This was honestly just incredible. I haven't given a book 5 stars in months. I think the last book I gave 5 stars was in March, and it's almost July. So I was due for one, and I'm really glad that I picked this up. Wow. I read this pretty quick. I mean, I think it's less than 200 pages, and it is a lot of pictures. So it's not too long of a read, and I highly encourage everyone to just give it a shot. Even if you think poetry is not your thing, and I understand that it might not be for everybody, but I still just want everyone to give this a shot because it was so good. I loved it. And I really want to read more by this author, and I will be looking. So yeah, it's about 7 o'clock. I finished this 20 minutes ago, but I had to feed my cats and do stuff. So yeah, I've been reading for about 6 or 7 hours, and I finished 2 books. So I'm doing fairly well. I'm not sure which one I want to pick up next. I'm gonna kind of sit on it for a minute and see what I want to do and get some water and just refresh my brain from this wonderful book. But yeah, so far we have a 2 to 3 star, and we have a 5 star. So also very different books too. So a lot of whiplash going on. So yeah, that's where I stand. I'm gonna pick a book and get back to you guys. So I've made up my mind actually, and I'm gonna start Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. This will be the 3rd Colleen Hoover book that I've read this year. Not in general, I think I've read 5 of her books so far, but this will be the 3rd one this year. And let me tell you, Colleen Hoover this year has just not been doing it for me. I haven't really liked either of the other books I've read so far this year, so hopefully this breaks the streak because I have liked Colleen Hoover books, and I'm hoping that this is one that I do actually end up liking. So yeah, fingers crossed that it's not a 3rd strike on Miss Hoover, and that it's actually a really good book. I've heard really good things about this one in particular, so we're gonna start this one now. Good morning, guys. I just did a little bit of makeup to make myself look presentable, but it is roughly 9:30 in the morning right now, and I do have an update actually. I went to bed last night, but I still was in the mood to read. So I ended up reading on my Kindle, and I decided to read book 2 in the Mindfuck series, which is Sidetracked, and I did finish that before I fell asleep. Loved it. I gave it 4 out of 5 star. I don't think I liked it as much as the first volume, or the first book, I should say, but this is a 5-book series and they're really short. So they're like 130 pages or something like that. So it was a quick read. But I love it so much. If you don't know what the Mindfuck series is, it's essentially a dark romance, but it's also like, if you like Criminal Minds, you'll get a lot of that kind of stuff in there, because it follows our main female protagonist, who is a serial killer who ends up falling in love with an FBI agent who is actually investigating her case. So there's a lot to unpack there, and there is also a lot of trigger warnings, so definitely look up trigger warnings before you go into the series. But if you are a dark romance and Criminal Minds fan, I highly recommend it. So I can't wait to read book 3. I don't know if I'll read it in this vlog, but yeah, book 2 was also great. And then on top of that, I also read a little bit of reminders of him last night, and I also read some when I first woke up this morning. So I've read this much. I'm almost halfway through. I'm on page 133, which is chapter 20. And honestly, I am really enjoying it so far. I think I said before that Colleen Hoover, she's had a couple misses for me this year, and I was about to like just give up. But I'm really glad that I picked this up, because this is her newest book, and honestly, I think is one of the best that I've read so far. I'm only halfway through, so that could change, but I am liking this a lot better than most of the other books by her I've read, especially the 2 that I've read this year. And just in case you didn't know, because I haven't been vlogging as much this year, the 2 Colleen Hoover books I've read and didn't like this year was Confess and Maybe Someday. Didn't like them at all. So I was really nervous about this, but this is so good. I haven't cried yet. I know this is an emotional one, but I can foresee myself crying. This is about a woman who gets out of prison and wants to reconnect with her daughter. So she goes back to the town where her daughter's at, and people are trying to keep her from getting to know her child. And I mean, typically I don't really care about motherhood in books, but this is just so good. I'm really, really liking it so far. So I'm not gonna ramble on too much about it now, but I'll tell you my thoughts when I finish. So yeah, it's about 9:30, and I once again don't have anything to do today because I'm home with COVID. I'm gonna go make a cup of coffee and get back to reading. So I have decided that I want to get a bath. I usually don't take baths in the morning. Like, I don't know, I just feel like it's more like relaxing at night, but I don't know, something is telling me to take a bath right now, so I'm looking for candles, which is honestly a little unfortunate because I can't even smell them, but I can't take a bath without candles. Yeah, so I just finished crying because this book right here, emotional damage. Emotional damage. And I loved it. Honestly, like, I might need a little bit of therapy after it, but I loved it. This book was so good. This is honestly my new favorite Colleen Hoover book. Like, better than Verity. Honestly, at the top of what I've read by her. I haven't read everything, but this is such a standout in her collection, coming from someone who, like I said, wasn't having the best luck with her this year. This is a 5-star book, and I honestly didn't foresee myself giving Colleen Hoover a 5-star this year, but it has happened. This book was phenomenal. It tugs at your heartstrings. The storytelling is beautiful. I love the characters. I loved Kenna. I loved Ledger. The little girl was so cute. All of the characters in this book I liked. I found them to be very distinct. I got attached to each and every one of them. And above all, just the story. I love how Colleen Hoover incorporated the letters that Kenna wrote to Scotty, those, so good, so good. And there were so many different lines in here where I literally thought I was okay. I would be reading it and I thought that I was totally okay, and then the last line of the chapter, I'd just be like, no, because it's just so sad. And Colleen Hoover just knew. She just knew how to just take your heart and just squeeze every emotion. I think I might have said it earlier, I can't remember, but this is about a woman who gets out of prison for the murder of her husband, and she's trying to reconnect with her daughter. And she had her daughter in prison, and then her daughter got taken away from her, obviously, because she's in prison, and she's trying to get closer with her daughter, or at least just meet her daughter, and everyone involved is like trying to prevent that from happening, because I mean, obviously she went to prison for murder, but then as the story goes on, you see what actually happened and you see Kenna's point of view, and it is so heartbreaking. And I was not prepared. Like, I knew people said this was sad. I fully knew that. But people say that with a lot of Colleen Hoover books, and I've never cried in a Colleen Hoover book. I didn't cry in Ugly Love. I didn't cry in It Ends With Us. I just didn't cry during any of her books. And then this one came along, and I'm telling you, they're right. This is really sad. So yeah, I don't want to ramble too much because I feel like my thoughts are still kind of jittery, but 5 out of 5 star, absolutely loved it. Honestly, might be one of my favorites of the year. And I'm shocked that it's a Colleen Hoover book, but here we are. So yeah, it is officially 2:30, so it's a little bit past the 24-hour mark. That was 1. So we're ending this with 4 books. I don't have them all down here, but we started with The Fine Print, which was like a 2.5 to a 3 star. Then we had Film for Her, which was a 5 star, Sidetracked, which was 4 stars, and Reminders of Him, which was 5 stars. So ultimately, I'm not gonna lie, the readathon started out a little rough with that low rating, but the rest of the books that I read during this readathon were really good. So I'm really happy that I was able to catch up on some reading, read some books that have been on my TBR for a while, and just have some new favorites, because finding a couple 5-star books where I haven't given 5 stars in months, amazing. And I hope I find more. So yeah, with that pretty much concludes this readathon. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up down below to help support this channel, and also subscribe to follow me on my reading journey if you haven't already. Like always, all of my socials will be down below, so if you want to follow me on TikTok, Goodreads, Instagram, anywhere, you're free to do so. And yeah, once again, I hope you liked this video, and I'll see you in the next one.